technology assessment originated in the 60s, and then it progressed and spread across the world in the 80s with nanotechnology in the Netherlands, and then this, just in general progressed. And now we have what we call responsible innovation. And I heard in one of your talks that you said there isn't really too much of a difference. So I just want to ask you, what is the responsible innovation movement? Is there actual difference? And if so, what is it? What is the difference?
First, it's interesting that also this idea of responsible innovation emerged in the United States of America. It was, as far as I know, in the context of the National Nanotechnology Initiative, started by Bill Clinton and Al Gore more than 20 years ago. So there was part of the budget dedicated to ethical research, to a kind of TA, to improve the opportunities to get really responsible innovation. And in the United States, there was a Center of Responsible Nanotechnology at that time. And from the United States, it went to Europe, and it was taken up by the European Commission, which coined this term of responsible research and innovation. And in fact, there are many roots of RI or RRI in TA. So, for example, this idea of having an open future, and we as humans today, we are obliged to shape this future responsibly. There was an approach in TA called constructive technology assessment, developed by colleagues from the Netherlands in the 1990s. I guess this was the predecessor of RRI, because this was TA not for parliaments or ministries, but it was TA for the processes of the making of technology. So it went already to this stage of developing and making technology. And RI then widened up the range of objects to be considered and addressees to be involved. The main innovation of RI I see in the extension to go to industry, to enterprises. TA mostly addresses political bodies, public institutions, authorities, and so on. So these are all occupied with shaping the boundary conditions for technology development. For example, promotion by public budget or regulation. But the makers of technology, they are mostly in industry, in the companies, and the innovations, they emerge out of the technologies developed there. And so RI extended the scope and went more to industry, and this is quite important, of course. And I welcomed this widening approach in the concepts and the basic ideas. It is very close to technology assessment, to gather all the knowledge we have in order to make some anticipations and foresights, to involve participation, to have a broader view on the issue under consideration, and so on. But this extension to industry, that was new.
Okay. Was there any challenges? I'm assuming that the way that policymakers work and advising policymakers would be quite different with engaging the industry.
And this
going from one to the other. Or?
So it's not really going from one to the other, but it's more about involving both groups at the occasion of different questions. Mm-hmm. For example, the European Commission in this RRI program, they often urged the consortia applying for funding to bring together science, enterprises, and policymakers and civil society. So this is really an integrative approach, bringing together people and groups and stakeholders from different directions in order to develop a broader view and not only to go for, let me say, optimization in economic respect.
Okay.